Welcome back, and today we are here with more Broadway grosses, so let's get into it. And Juliet is up first. And Juliet went from 95% last week to 94% this week. And again, it is decreasing week to week, but it's still making solid business. A Beautiful Noise went from 75% to 78%, and staying and actually going up from $969,330 to $1 million this week. Despite the average ticket going up, the capacity did go down. But again, these two shows are doing perfectly fine when it comes to box office. Obviously, A Beautiful Noise could be doing better, but both are completely fine. And I think And Juliet, like I've said many times, is going to be on Broadway for many years. But I think with A Beautiful Noise, I want to see how it does in the fall, because I don't know. Bad Cinderella, which has announced its closing, went from 53% to 63%, but the average ticket went from $54 to $45, going from $326,303 to $324,000 this week, which is pretty poor, and it's ending on a very high whimper, and just, yeah, it really failed. Bob Fosse's Dancin', and that was in its last week, went from 67% to 87%, going from $483,434 to $678,147 this week. Camelot went from 86% to 93%, going from $831,474 to $879,443. Funny Girl went from 77% to 91%, going from $1,448,544 to $1,637,625. Again, blockbuster numbers and doing exceptionally well. Hadestown went from 91% to 93%, going from $629,767 to $672,948. I think that anything under $700,000 for Hadestown is very, very bad and very, very poor. And again, I still believe that it could close at the end of this year or in January of 2024. And I'm afraid that if it could get into the 500, 400 in the fall, and if it does, it is done for. But it could maintain it. It's not done terrible over the past year, but you have noticed a decline in ticket sales. And it really shouldn't be going past 800K at the box office, so definitely troubling times for Hadestown. Hamilton went from 100% to 97%, so this was one of its few weeks where it didn't sell out, going from 1,778,225 to 1,889,515. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child went down dramatically from 82% to 78%, just barely hanging in to the $1 million club. Kimberly Akimbo is doing slightly better, going from 90% to 92%, and 412,279 last week to this week's 487,392 this week. So I'm hoping that that continues to go up. And the Tony Awards were canceled, but now they're back on. There just won't be any televised segments. Honestly, I'm kind of happy about that because you just want to see the performances and the awards, so I'm okay with that, and I think Kimberly will go home big, so hopefully it will do well in the summer, but I think it will have a similar run that a Strange Loop did, so I suspect a January closing is inevitable, but hopefully not. Moulin Rouge went from 97% last week to 96% this week, going from 1,250,852 to this week's 1,262,452. So once again, that show is doing incredibly well, and even though Aaron Tveit has left, it is still managing to maintain solid box office. New York went from 83% last week to 84% this week, and staying in the $1 million club. Parade went from $1 million last week to $1,100,478 this week, going from 88% to 93%, which was awesome. That show doesn't need to be making this amount of money, but the fact that it is amazing. I don't cover Peter Pan Goes Wrong, but it had a very substantial drop from 78% to 63%, and $683,445 last week to $463,300 $335 this week. And Neil Patrick Harris was guest starring in the production, so it goes to show that he has box office draw. Good old Shucked went from 87% to 93%, going from 620,000 last week to 712,755 this week. And that's amazing. I think that I think the marketing that they were doing was somewhat effective, but I think what made people go in and increase the capacity and the overall gross was the fact that the cast album came out last week. They had public performances, the Tony nominations. I think those three combinations created a boost in ticket sales. And, I've been noticing that not a lot of new musicals that open in the spring will put out their cast album, especially if it's a new musical that's original, this early on, and I think that helped them substantially. I know I've been listening to the album on repeat, even though I've seen it and I'm not a huge fan of it. The songs are banger. It makes me want to see it again, even though I will never see it again, or if I do, I'm not paying for it. But I do think that all of those factors helped Shucked a lot, and if it weren't for the Tony noms, I think it would have been on a big decline, so it is doing better, but I do wonder, will it maintain these numbers after the Tonys, because I don't think it's going to go home big at the Tonys, and so I think the deciding factor if Shucked can make it until this time next year is how it does in the fall. But we obviously won't know that, but for right now, this current moment, it's on a good trajectory. 6 went from 83% to 89%, going from 853,369 last week to this week's 936,767. Some Like It Hot went from 72% to 80%, going from 876,193 to 993,349, making this Some Like It Hot's best week. Again, this show has not been doing amazing. It's not in danger. Well, it is in danger of closing because it is a very expensive show. But I could see them closing in the summer, seeing as they've probably lost, a good chunk of money over in the winter and the fall, and the fact that this opened at the same time as Juliet and A Beautiful Noise, and they are doing better business than this, proves all you need to know. This was a very underwhelming disappointment from a financial standpoint. This show should have crossed $1 million at least once, especially when it first opened, and especially now, but maybe it's working its way back up there. But I personally think it won't make it until this time next year. I don't know if it will close at the end of the summer. Maybe it can maintain enough of the 900. If it stays in the 900, 800 range, it will probably make it through the fall, and then I think it will fall, pun intended, pretty hard and close in January. Sweeney went from 98% to 97%, going from 1,826,374 last week to 1,840,997. And the Book of Mormon is having a bit of an increase from 88% to 92%, going from $854,430 to $900,000, 222 this week. Overall, a great week for grosses, for musicals that were not doing so well in the past couple weeks. They are seeing an increase, and that's always nice to see. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you next week for another round of Broadway grosses. Thank you.